Good evening, everybody. Welcome to an edition of Faith, Family, and Friends. My wife Amy and I here this afternoon. It's going on the evening, 5 o'clock, and we're trying our new live streaming video that we just purchased from StreamYard. And so we would like to invite you to just a brief look back at our interviews that we've conducted this last year. We did 45 interviews.
Yeah.
Yeah. So pretty cool. We're still trying to get used to it.
Bear with us.
It's good to be with that. We had probably 45 interviews with people today. Not today, this last 2023.
Yeah.
We had wanted to do this closer to the new year, but here we are at any rate. And I just want to switch up my glasses here to read my hand scratching. Irrespective of each other, after looking back at our interviews, we'd previously used Zoom. I don't know how to get rid of that glare, but we'll get used to this. I know there's a glare on the screen. There we go. We, separate from one another, we chose 10 of our own favorites, and we'll just comment real quickly on why we enjoyed those particular guests. All of the guests that we've had on our show this last year were wonderful. Whether they were local or well-known, it doesn't matter. Our motto is that everybody has a story and every story counts. We've interviewed people who have been our best-selling authors. We've interviewed missionaries, ministers, pastors, classic contemporary Christian musicians,
movie
producers, directors, marathon runners.
Mm-hmm. Authors, did you say authors?
Yeah.
Yep.
Professional athletes,
mm-hmm.
A family who struggling to stay in the United States because our Homeland Security Department want to ship them back to Germany, where they came from, and they're looking for status in order to stay where they've been living in Tennessee for quite a few years. That's Romikes. We also interviewed an editor, the Christian Post, psychologists, doctors,
dog owners.
That was a great one.
Mm-hmm.
So, without any further ado, without going through all of them, my wife will share her top 10 of the year, and then I'll do mine. Okay.
So it was very difficult, and I wasn't in as many, I guess, this year as I was last year due to just time and whatever, different things going on. But I, of course, watched them all, and but I picked my top 10. It was very tricky to do that, but I don't have them in any particular order. I guess I would say one that was really exciting for me was Bob and Jane Farrell.
Mm-hmm.
Singers from back, what years would you say?
The late 80s, mid 80s.
And it was just really fun to interview them because I can remember going to one of their concerts and dancing all around in the ring
in St. Louis.
Yeah. So it had a good memories attached to it. And
they were known then as Farrell and Farrell.
Mm-hmm.
And what about that particular interview really inspired and encouraged you?
I think it was that they're just on fire for the Lord and really wanting to know, what they're going to continue to do, and wondering, what does God have for us to do? Cool. So many people that we've interviewed feel that same way when they hit a certain age. So
yeah, maybe we can go back and forth.
Okay, go ahead.
One of my top 10 was Terry Cummings, who is an NBA basketball player. I don't know that I had the idea of interviewing him necessarily housed in my spirit man, and was just trying to get a hold of him like we normally will think of people to try to connect with, email, call, whatever. But I think it was because I saw one of his devotions online. Terry is a pastor in Atlanta, and I followed his career somewhat through the years when he played for the NBA. He had a torn ACLU that I think brought him out of commission from playing, but he played a number of years. They're actually right now trying to get him back in the Hall of Fame. But Terry was great. He's a busy man pastoring there in Atlanta. He does some great devotions. He's known the Lord for years.
Great
And
guy.
yeah, I remember him coming to Evangel University when we went to college. And before he signed with the Milwaukee Bucks, he was there playing with the AAU team, and they played our basketball team. And he shared in chapel, preached. So it was really neat interview, wasn't it?
He
He
was
was
outside just walking and talking.
yeah,
with
doing the
us.
food pantry.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, really good. Terry was a favorite of mine. It was not a long one because we didn't want to keep him from his tasks at hand, but he seemed to be really chill and down to earth. We got to talk about how we saw basketball in the NBA now compared to years ago when it was, I don't know. It was neat to see that his opinion was much like mine, is that it didn't seem to be as much defense. And when we talked about the Euro step, he laughed. He said, that's nothing but travel. So you might want to go back. And all these interviews are available on YouTube, or if you request, we'll send you the link personally. So even though we're going to StreamYard, we do have these Zoom interviews that we've done. We'll probably do our last couple this month on Zoom, and we're trying to segue and transition into this new StreamYard because it puts all of our interviews on several platforms at once.
We're trying to
LinkedIn, Facebook.
Trying to build up our audience.
Yeah. So more people can see the content and enjoy the product. It isn't entirely professional. We don't have cameras in front of us and back of us and side. We're just who we are.
Yeah.
And maybe that will get better someday. I have friends who have green screens, real ones behind them, and all this other fancy stuff. But and it's nothing wrong with that. But when you're working 2 or 3 jobs, and hopefully this will be something we'll do in our retiring years. What is another one that you enjoyed?
I had Dan Reagan down.
Dan Reagan was amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Tell about the books he made.
Well, before I do, his background is that he was an award-winning sports producer on Ted Turner's network down in Atlanta, Turner Broadcasting Network, right?
Yeah.
TBN or TNT. I can't remember now. Turner Network. Yeah. Whatever. I mean, he produced some great things in the world of sports, and would number of people underneath him, and covered live sports events. And so Dan was very well known. I didn't know about him and his work, but until we were contacted by Biscuit Media, we work with 2 or 3 media companies that have always given us options. We don't always get them. There are other people vying for those options who do what we do, but you never know. So we sign up, say, hey, I'd like an interview.
I love it.
And then you don't hear back. You might put out, say, hey, one more time, hey, and then you just let it go. So dog eat dog world, I guess, even in that. But Dan was great. He wrote a book, Classic Rock Songs Revealed, and he's done 2 of them, companions, volume 1 and 2, where he has interviewed people either over a cup of coffee or through phone chat. And then from that interview, he has penned these 2 books, rock singers, and the backstory to these songs.
Really interesting.
He one of the things he said in the interview was that you wouldn't believe what a comedian Billy Joe was. In fact, I actually think he told Dan that. So it's kind of a box within a box. We were interviewing somebody who had interviewed lots of somebodies. And you just love it. Yeah, he signed a book, and we gave away a couple, and then we bought some and sent them to our son, who's a great music lover, loves classic music, classic rock, even though he's way younger than we are.
Yeah.
So that was a good one. So that
was my number 2.
Yeah. I've Will Ackerman and Steve Rivera.
Wow.
It was crazy how that interview started. I accidentally got this email from this guy named Will. I have no idea who he was. Okay. I do now. And I think I don't know how he got my email address, but he says, I'm hiking here in Arizona, and if you want to get together, blah, blah, blah. And like, I had never even reached out to him. Looked him up. I'm like,
we thought it was a scam at first, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
He is one of the premier, best known finger-picking guitarists of all time. His independent studio, we've got two of them. The one in California, I forget the name of it now, Wind Hill Studios, was the most successful independent recording studio ever. Number of people, including George Winston, the famous pianist, recorded his stuff. But besides the fact that he recorded many people's material, usually New Age music, and by New Age we don't mean doctrine. Shouldn't have to even say that now, but the music style. But his buddies, he and a couple of others, and then he retired from that, made his money, and went to Vermont. And he's got another studio up there. But Will came on. He said, "I'd like to come on." When I got back to him, I said, "Hey, I don't know what this is all about, but if you're real, would you like to be in our show?"
And he was.
It was a Sunday afternoon, and his secretary set him up with a friend he had produced already, Steve Rivera, who's an amazing pianist. He's a believer. I felt like with Will, we were sort of dropping some seed and praying for him. In fact, when we offered to pray, he's like, "I don't know about that. I don't know if I'm into this God thing." But it was really cool. I said, "Fine." Actually, I'd asked him beforehand, and that's what he had said. But he sent us back a really good reference.
Yeah.
We don't always get references or I guess, what do you call it? Complimentary emails or messages back from people who enjoyed their time with us. We don't ask for them, but every once in a while they do. And Will did. Will's music is amazing. You really, in fact, I played it for my kids. His studio is amazing. So Positano is his most recent work with a couple of his collaborators. Was in Italy to, I think, his daughter's wedding. And it's a CD. It was actually Grammy Award winning. A lot of his stuff has been either Grammy Award nominated or winner. So that was a real, and Steve's stuff is great. Steve's a great guy. It was a
double interview there.
Yeah, it was double with both of them. So, all right.
And then I had Mike L, which I don't remember how to say his last name.
Mike L.
The dog.
Yeah, the dog owner. Mike, Buddy and Pal.
Oh my word. He was so much fun.
Yeah, Mike was great.
Mike is great.
Yeah.
We love dogs.
I could
Mike
probably
was so
look him
much
up when
fun.
you're talking about him there. Yeah.
So he just told us, about how he trains dogs and how he gets so much response from people.
Lalicic, Mike Lalicic.
Mm-hmm. Where does he live again? He has
on the Canadian side of the Niagara Falls.
Yeah, he has a bit of an accent, but anyway, he's just well loved for working with
great online presence.
Is it Pal right now?
It's Pal. He's had German Shepherds most of his life. We'd been wanting to get Mike on, and it was just not working out. But he was receiving our message. It was cool. It wasn't like he was like, "Hey, you're too low. You don't have enough following."
So
we find that from time to time with people that
he was so friendly and
fun. Buddy died. He's only 5 years old of cancer. So he's done some investigation on why dogs in the area where he lives, so many of them died from cancer.
He's really kind of researching that. So.
Yeah, and his dogs are so well trained, just voice command. So you would love that one.
That was fun
with Mike.
So that was my third.
Let's do 5 each.
Okay, sure.
And maybe we'll come back and do 5 more some other time.
All right.
Lauren McVicker, I've got to tell you that was amazing. Lauren was a colleague of mine at Scott's Elementary, still works there and teaches. She's a reading specialist, has taught the lower end grades for years, and then began doing reading specialist work at Scott's and other schools. And she has run a number of marathons through the years, and she ran the Boston Marathon when the bombing happened. So I wanted to have her on. Lauren is very shy, but she really wanted to get on to tell her story about that. You really want to look that up. That was powerful.
First-hand story.
First-hand story. Somebody knew, somebody local. Her dad runs and ran with her. They were separated during that bombing, and she tells about the whole story. And then we got a backstory off that, and I'll tell you about the next interview that we had from hearing about her story, which sometimes that happens. So you go ahead next.
My next person I wanted to mention was Ashley
Palmer.
And we've known her since she was really young, little in Maine, and she now lives in Massachusetts. Can't remember what city. But she gave her testimony, her life story of conquering drugs and alcohol and how God brought her through that. And really gut honest interview.
It was
Told
good.
it like it was.
Yeah, Ashley tells it like it is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's like that character on Heartland. She looks like her,
Jade.
acts like her. Jade.
Yeah.
She really has spunk and sass, but
Yeah.
in a good way.
Uh,
And that was a good one.
yeah.
Yeah.
She's married now and doing well. And
Yeah.
it gets online and just really encourages people to,
Mhm.
get off from things and whatever. But
Yeah.
she really was honest about her journey through that
Mhm.
difficult time getting off
Cool.
of drugs and alcohol. So, yeah, excellent. And since we know her so well, it was just
It was kind
awesome.
of coming back
Yeah.
home
Yep.
kind of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I'm
Um,
just proud of her, and it was an excellent interview.
Yeah.
It'd be
That's
encouraging to anyone who might be struggling. And
My fourth, I think they're on 104 now. We won't do all 10. We'll come back, maybe do another one like this if we get a lot of response. Please click subscribe to our YouTube account, and you'll find many of these. And you let us know. I think the comment section will be a lot easier than what we've been known to have or do.
yeah,
Rich Powers, okay, coming off the Lauren McVicker Boston Marathon interview, she told us the backstory of a guy whose dog, who's a golden retriever, sat at one of the mile points of the race and would greet people with a flag in his mouth. Year after year, well, Rich Powers and his wife owned these dogs, golden retrievers, and this dog passed away. And there was such a tribute this last year to this dog. I forget his name now. And actually, a month later, Rich's other dog, which was, I guess, a sister or brother to this golden, died as well. So Rich was in such mourning and grief. We didn't know whether he would respond, but it had been a few months since the Boston Marathon. When we had him on, it was a fabulous interview. You'll get on with that. Look us up, Faith, Family, Friends, Rich Powers. Or if you have trouble doing that, not a lot of people are tech geeks. We're not. It might seem like we're, but we're not.
we're not.
Just let us know, and we either one of us will personally send that copy or link to you so you can watch that. But that was a great one. How about you? What's the next one?
My last one would, as far as number 5, would
Right.
be Rob Grabnow.
Oh, Rob was great.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Go ahead and tell about the movie too.
Well, so his movie, remind me.
You're the Dog.
The Year of the Dog.
Yeah.
So we watched the movie, didn't we, before the
Yes.
interview?
Yes. Yeah.
Great movie, like very artistically done.
Mhm.
It really, what do I want to say? It's not like any movie you've ever seen, I
No.
would say. Just
Yeah.
very well done. Very, I felt, it's hard to put it into words. But anyway, how a dog helped save the man through
Yeah.
just troubles he was going through.
Mhm.
And anyway, Rob was just down to earth, and just, it was a great interview. Like,
Yeah. Great film.
Yeah,
You
great film.
Check it out and rent it. How we found out about him is again, Facebook and Meta is doing this publishing of a number of people's stuff, the things that they do. And we saw Year of the Dog. I'm like, oh, check that out. I watched the trailer and took a chance. Messaged the guy, and he got right back to us.
Mhm.
And Rob has done a number of things. He has
I know.
worked
Yes.
with Rolling Stone magazine. He's invented a few things. He's published. He's been a model, I think. Yeah, it's just and he knows 2 or 3 languages. So yeah, Rob was down to earth and really cool.
Is he the one that said he was going to go back to homesteading for a bit to relax?
No, and we don't have that person up here, but we will
Oh,
mention him.
yeah.
One of the first we'll mention. I think I'm just going to read through the rest of them
Okay.
because I want people to know we appreciate each and every one
Yes.
of their interviews, and we've actually done 2 or 3 with a number of people. So that was your 5th?
That was my 5th. Mhm.
My 5th would be, Andrew Lawler. Yeah, we were put in touch with Andrew through Biscuit Media. Andrew Lawler has been an author and journalist for a number of years. Some of his articles and his writings have been in the National Geographic magazine. So we went ahead and got Nat G. I have not taken advantage of my digital, and I'm not sure, do we get one in the mail too?
Oh, yes, we did.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and read it. It's time-wise, I need to. But any of you who have been reading and following National Geographic through the years, we've got all of back copies. Andrew's September issue on the Dome of the Rock is fabulous. And he wrote the text for that. and went in with his Muslim photographer who took pictures. It's a full pullout of all the scenes with amazing text. Andrew's a great guy. He has written about the missing village in Roanoke, Virginia. Forget the name of that historic, how that village was missing back in the colonial days. He's also written about the underground tunnels in Jerusalem. Boy, did we have an amazing conversation.
The fact that
Wow.
it took a long time for him to be
Yeah.
given permission to go.
Yeah, and that article that came out this last year in September in Nat G was actually 2 or 3 years in the waiting.
Yeah.
But he had already written it. So
Yeah.
very articulate man. And I thought that was a great grab for us to be able to. to have
interview
Andrew,
him was
yeah.
a big
Yeah.
deal.
So our final top 10, you can mention yours, Amy. We'll promise to get back to you on these.
So I had David Helling.
Yep, David Helling. Go ahead and tell who those are.
I'm trying to remember his
He
name.
was a
I
movie
remember
director, the Abraham story. His only son.
his only son.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow.
So he was so I won't say much, but
Yeah,
he
Great guy.
like did
Wow.
everything. Sewing
Yep.
the costumes, doing everything,
Everything, yeah.
on for the whole movie.
Yeah.
Excellent movie. Nancy Myers, an author. Like
Yeah.
I'm reading her book right now, but
Iron
also
Man
she's
lady
a
and a
runner.
author,
or a-
runner. Yeah.
Yeah. Brad Mins, he was
Deaf tennis player.
deaf tennis player. Such a cool interview. The fact that we could work it out with him being
Yeah.
able
And watch
to
so you could see
see
the.
our lips. Did
yeah,
he have
closed
his wife
captioned.
behind helping
He
him
may have,
out?
but the closed captioning helped him. But I
Yeah,
think he was
closed
good.
captioning.
Yeah.
Mhm. And then I had Taylor Silverman and Richard Cutshaw together as
Mm.
one because
Yeah.
both, for the same cause. And
Mhm.
Richard is local.
Yep.
Fighting for his daughter and other
Rights of
young
women,
girls.
yeah.
Yep, the rights of women in
Mhm, in
Vicksburg
school.
area.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Good.
And Taylor Silverman is a female athlete.
Yes.
So-
Skateboarder.
Skateboarder.
We got to meet her at one of the local functions raising funds for the Vicksburg Community Schools, where parents are fighting against allowing transitioning males into the girls' bathrooms. So
Yeah.
you could check that out. Both those interviews are available.
Yep.
The rest of mine, Wade Cotter, a retired game warden in Maine, and a good friend of the family who's actually taking care of our dogs.
Mhm.
Chuck Gerard, who was the founder of Love Song, and about whom the CCM group has talked about in Jesus Revolution, the movie.
Mhm.
Andrew Chrisman, who is Andy Chrisman, a part of For Him, has his own
That was
podcast
a
now.
fun interview.
The
Mhm.
Romikes, whose family has been in Tennessee, leaving Germany because they were persecuted for homeschooling.
Mhm.
Check that out. And yeah, that was it, my top 10. And we just want to say in passing these others, author Becky Harling, author Carol McLeod, who we've had on 2 or 3 times, has been a great encouragement to me personally toward getting my book published. And she even has offered to have her publisher look at my transcript, my manuscript when we finally get it together. So
Nice.
Olive Asher, who's an author and the head of a mission organization in America, James and his father, James Bunson. Oh, that was amazing. Third
We love
interview
them.
with them.
Mhm.
Author of Under the Naga Tail, Joel Yount, his father, Bill Yount, Roseanne Locker, Amy Swager, who's a colleague of mine, works up here at Scott's, Dan Postuma, who produced Christian music for years, the likes of Amy Grant, Smitty, Steve and Gentry Yake, who went to Evangel, where we went, who also produced some amazing work, just did the Petra Revival Tour. Evan Dodge, good friend who's a minister in the Methodist Church. Ron Henby of the Imperials. Elizabeth Vaughn Spruce, who's actually on my top 10. She was arrested twice for praying in England,
Just praying.
and both of those issues were resolved, and they backed off. Let's see, Tim Mahoney, Thinking Man Films, who's done a lot of work with archaeology and filming scientific kind of related issues that prove the Bible. I had Rob Gravdown, Ashley on there. Rich Brink, who's a revivalist. Let's see. Leon Patillo, we've had him on this year,
Oh, my
who's a classic CCM artist. Coach Joe Kennedy,
favorite.
who won his case at the Supreme Court when he got unfairly fired from praying on the football field. Derek Paul, we love Derek, just such a blessing, fighting for those who want to get out of the homosexual lifestyle. We said Joel and Bill Young, Dr. Brock Collette, who's a great author of apocalyptic and predictive things in the end times. The End Times Jesus, Israel Jesus in the End Times is the name of his book. Paul Keith Davis, who's a traveling prophet. Brian Showalter, who's an editor at the Christian Post. I mentioned Nancy Meyer, also Grace Dunn and Derek Gully, who were the main actors and actresses, main actor and actress of the movie. What was the name of that movie we went to see about a baseball player? And it was in Bluegate Theater down in Shipshewana. Great time with them.
Young.
Corey Carruthers, who's a pianist, and her work has been produced by Will Ackerman. And that's pretty much Sam Doherty, who's local. He's a chainsaw artist and worship leader at his church in Three Rivers. And I think that's pretty much it for this past year. Wow. So thank you for tuning in to a special edition of Faith, Family, and Friends on our new StreamYard. We get everything done, and they post it on all sorts of platforms. I hope you enjoy this. Please comment and let us know how you think it went. God bless you, and have a great evening.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. We'll see you next week when we interviewed a couple of people on both Wednesday and Thursday evenings. Have a great evening, everybody. God bless.